Democrats wanting to be Ohio's next governor debated for the first time last night, and Fox 45 was there for that. The candidates that took the stage, State Senator Joe Schiavone, former State Representative Connie Pillich, Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley, and former Congresswoman Betty Sutton. They all debated jobs, education, and state funding, some major topics there. And here was to break down the debate is Professor of Political Science at Wright State University, Dr. Lee Hanna. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and we kind of wanted to start with the topics. What were some of those major topics that they debated, and how do you think it differed from other debates between candidates in the past?
Yeah, so one of the major topics, of course, was jobs in Ohio and the economy more broadly, and in particular, how do you keep young people, college grads, high school grads in the state, and not lose that talent to other areas, bigger places. So that was one of the major topics. They, of course, went into education, and that's probably where they stand and most directly contrast it to the Republican position with school choice. And so they want increased public funding and to rein in some of the charter schools. And then finally, they got into the opioid epidemic and discussed just to what extent that's ravaging our state and what the government's response needs to be next. And it was a really fascinating debate. One thing that I really enjoy about these, and I would say the same about a Republican debate when it happens, is because these candidates aren't so well known, and because there is this baseline of agreement of the Democratic platform, you can't just rely on the old party platitudes. You really have to go a step further and talk about details and talk about actual policy. So as I watched, I was learning things about our policy, and I wanted to go check up and learn more about different things Mayor Whaley said, different things that Senator Schiavone said. So in that way, I find these debates to be fairly refreshing because there's not as much partisan rancor, there's not as much personal attacks. I think all of these candidates showed a lot of respect for one another.
And you talked about, because you said you learned a lot, it's the being specific. They had to be specific on these certain topics, especially jobs. It couldn't just be, oh, we're going to create jobs for Ohio. It was, how are you going to do this?
Yes, absolutely. And the average person who's going to vote in the Democratic primary is watching very closely. And they are actually persuadable. When we get to general elections, a lot of Republicans and Democrats are not going to change their views, not going to change who they vote for at the end of the day. But at this early level, you can actually persuade people by the way you present a policy compared to another Democrat on stage. So in that way, the debate carries maybe even more importance early on as a way for these candidates to set themselves apart.
And you kind of mentioned already the Republican candidates. We've got a lot of big name recognition as far as on the Republican side. What do you think moving forward in the future we can expect from them?
Sure. So I hope in the same way you'll see that mutual respect and you'll see details and nuance because they generally agree on policy. I would say the biggest difference is on the Democratic side, most of these candidates are regionally known. They're known in their region of Ohio, and they are trying to really build a name and build a brand outside of that. On the Republican side, we're going to have 3 statewide candidates and a member of Congress in this race, at least so far. So in that way, they do have a broader audience and a broader ground game probably as well for that reason. So the discussion might be a bit different in terms of just how many, because of the experience they have and how many people know them, you may see it perhaps get more personal. Maybe they talk more about their own policies and everything.
All right, Dr. Lee Hanna, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. We truly appreciate it.